What happens when royal privilege meets daytime television's most fearless host? In just 13 seconds, Prince Harry's carefully crafted public image would crumble on live television in the most shocking meltdown ever caught on camera. Last night's explosive episode of Loose Women delivered the kind of raw, unfiltered drama that had viewers glued to their screens and social media buzzing with disbelief. Ruth Langsford sat poised behind the iconic Loose Women desk, her warm smile masking the steel resolve that has made her Britain's most respected daytime presenter. Alongside her, the full panel was assembled. Janet Street Porter, leaning forward with that familiar glint of mischief in her eyes, Colleen Nolan radiating her trademark warmth, and Kay Adams maintaining her professional composure despite sensing the tension already crackling through the studio air. The interview had started innocently enough. Prince Harry had arrived at the ITV studios with his usual swagger, expecting the kind of softball questions and deferential treatment he'd grown accustomed to from sympathetic media outlets. He settled into the guest chair with that familiar smirk, his posture screaming entitlement as he prepared for what he clearly assumed would be another platform for his grievances. Ruth began with her characteristic grace. "Prince Harry, thank you for joining us today. We're so pleased to have you here on Loose Women." Harry's response was immediate and telling, "Well, I suppose it's about time someone gave me a proper platform to speak my truth without interruption." The panel exchanged subtle glances. Janet raised an eyebrow while Colleen shifted uncomfortably. Ruth, however, maintained her professional smile, though those who knew her well could detect the slight tightening around her eyes. "Of course, we want to hear your perspective," Ruth continued smoothly. "But I think our viewers would appreciate hearing about your recent charitable work first." Harry waved his hand dismissively. "Look, Ruth, is it? I didn't come here to talk about charity photo ops. I came here to discuss the real issues, the way my family has treated me, the way the British press continues to harass me and my wife." Kay Adams leaned forward slightly. "Prince Harry, while we certainly want to discuss important issues, perhaps we could start with some of the positive work you've been doing?" Harry's laugh was bitter and sharp. "Positive work? Do you have any idea what it's like to have your entire life scrutinized? To have every move questioned by people who have never walked in my shoes?" Ruth's voice remained calm but firm. "I understand that public life can be challenging, but many of our viewers face their own difficulties. They might appreciate hearing about how you're using your platform to help others." "Help others?" Harry's voice rose slightly, his composure beginning to crack. "I've been helping others my entire life while my own family stabbed me in the back, while they protected my brother and threw me to the wolves." Janet Street Porter, never one to shy away from confrontation, jumped in. "But Harry, surely you understand that with privilege comes responsibility. Many people would love to have the opportunities you've had." Harry's face flushed red. "Opportunities? You call being trapped in a system that crushes your soul an opportunity? You call watching your mother die because of media harassment an opportunity?" The studio fell silent. Even the crew behind the camera seemed to hold their breath. Ruth, drawing on decades of experience handling difficult interviews, kept her voice steady and compassionate. "Harry, I think we all have tremendous sympathy for the loss of your mother. That was a tragedy that affected the entire nation, but perhaps we could focus on how you've channeled that experience into positive change?" Harry stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the studio floor. "Don't you dare lecture me about my mother. You people have no idea what real suffering looks like. You sit here in your comfortable studio, asking your safe little questions, while people like me carry the weight of the world." Colleen Nolan, her maternal instincts kicking in despite the hostile atmosphere, tried to de-escalate. "Harry, please, we're not trying to upset you. We genuinely want to understand your perspective." Harry whirled around to face her, his finger pointed accusingly. "My perspective? My perspective is that this entire country is built on lies and cover-ups. That institutions like the monarchy are outdated relics that crush anyone who dares to think differently." Ruth stood up slowly, her authority filling the room. "Harry, I need to ask you to please sit down. We can have this conversation, but we need to do it respectfully." "Respectfully?" Harry laughed harshly. "Like how my family respected me when they leaked stories to the press? Like how they respected my wife when they allowed her to be vilified day after day?" Kay Adams tried again, her voice gentle but firm. "Harry, many of our viewers have experienced workplace bullying or family difficulties. They might relate to your struggles if we could discuss them constructively." Harry's response was explosive. "Don't compare your viewers' petty problems to what I've endured. You have no concept of what it means to live under constant scrutiny, to have every decision analyzed and criticized by people who couldn't handle a single day of my life." The insult hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Ruth's expression hardened, though her voice remained controlled. "I think you need to be very careful about how you speak about our audience, Harry. These are real people with real struggles." "Real struggles?" Harry scoffed. "What real struggles? Deciding what to have for dinner? Worrying about their favorite soap opera? Please, I've dedicated my life to serving this country, to serving people who frankly don't deserve it." Janet Street Porter had heard enough. "Now, hang on just a minute, young man. You're talking about British people who have shown nothing but support for you over the years." Harry spun toward her, his face contorted with rage. "Support? Where was that support when I needed it most? When I was struggling with mental health issues? When I was trying to protect my family?" Ruth stepped forward, her voice cutting through his tirade. "Harry, mental health is indeed a serious issue, and one we take very seriously on this show. But using your struggles as a weapon against others isn't helping anyone." Harry's eyes blazed with fury as he turned his full attention to Ruth. "A weapon? You think my pain is a weapon? This is exactly the problem with people like you. You reduce everything to sound bites and entertainment." Ruth stood her ground, her decades of experience evident in her calm demeanor. "I'm not reducing anything, Harry. I'm trying to have a respectful conversation, but you seem determined to attack everyone in this room." "Attack?" Harry's voice cracked with incredulity. "I'm telling the truth, something this country seems incapable of handling. You want me to sit here and pretend everything is fine while my life has been destroyed?" Colleen Nolan, her voice trembling slightly but still compassionate, tried one more time. "Harry, nobody is asking you to pretend anything. We just want to understand how we can move forward constructively." Harry laughed bitterly, pointing at each panelist in turn. "Move forward? With you people? You're all part of the same broken system. You sit here day after day, feeding the public meaningless drivel while real issues go ignored." Janet Street Porter's patience finally snapped. "Right, that's quite enough. You're being incredibly rude to women who have worked hard their entire careers." "Worked hard?" Harry's voice reached a new pitch of disdain. "At what? Gossiping on television? Please. I've served my country in Afghanistan while you've been chatting about celebrity scandals." Kay Adams, her professional composure cracking, spoke with quiet intensity. "Your service is appreciated, Harry, but it doesn't give you the right to demean others." Harry whirled around, his face flushed with anger. "Demean others? I'm speaking truth to power. I'm calling out the hypocrisy that nobody else has the courage to address." Ruth had reached her limit. Her voice remained steady, but carried an unmistakable edge of authority. "Harry, I'm going to need you to either sit down and conduct this interview respectfully, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The studio fell silent, except for the hum of cameras. Harry stared at Ruth in disbelief, as if he couldn't comprehend that someone would dare give him an ultimatum. "You're threatening me?" Harry's voice was dangerously quiet. "Do you have any idea who you're talking to? I am a prince of this realm. I have given everything for this country, and this is how I'm treated?" Ruth's response was measured but firm. "Right now, Harry, you're a guest on my show, and you're behaving appallingly. Your title doesn't give you the right to insult our audience or our panel." Harry's composure completely shattered. "Your show? This pathetic excuse for journalism? You think you can dictate terms to me? I've been interviewed by real journalists, by people who understand the gravity of what I've experienced." Janet Street Porter stood up, her voice cutting through his rant. "And yet here you are, having a tantrum on daytime television like a spoiled child." The comparison hit Harry like a physical blow. His face went white, then red, then white again. "How dare you? How dare any of you? I came here in good faith, trying to share my story, and you've ambushed me." Colleen Nolan, still trying to find some middle ground, said softly, "Harry, nobody ambushed you. We asked perfectly reasonable questions." "Reasonable?" Harry's laugh was harsh and bitter. "Nothing about this has been reasonable. You've tried to trap me from the moment I sat down." Ruth stepped closer, her presence commanding despite Harry's height advantage. "The only person who's trapped here, Harry, is you, trapped by your own inability to take responsibility for your behavior." Harry's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Responsibility? I'll tell you about responsibility. I've spent my entire adult life cleaning up messes created by an institution that protects abusers and destroys anyone who threatens their carefully constructed lies." Kay Adams, her voice barely above a whisper. "Harry, please, this isn't helping anyone." "Helping?" Harry turned on her with renewed fury. "I'm not here to help. I'm here to expose the truth, to show people what really happens behind closed doors." Ruth had heard enough. Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "What's happening right now, Harry, is that you're showing our viewers exactly who you really are. And frankly, it's not very impressive. The words hit Harry like a slap. For a moment, he stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing without sound. Then his face contorted with rage, unlike anything the seasoned presenters had ever witnessed. Not impressive? Harry's voice rose to a shout. I am a combat veteran. I am a humanitarian. I have dedicated my life to service while people like you profit from misery and gossip. Ruth remained unmoved. And yet, right now, you're having a public meltdown because you can't handle being asked basic questions about your charity work. The observation was so accurate, so devastating in its simplicity, that Harry seemed to deflate slightly before puffing up with even greater indignation. This interview is over, Harry declared, pointing an accusatory finger at Ruth. I refuse to be treated this way by people who wouldn't last 5 minutes in my world. Ruth nodded calmly. You're absolutely right, Harry. This interview is over. Security will show you out. As if summoned by her words, 2 security guards appeared at the edge of the set. Harry looked around the studio in disbelief, seeing nothing but disappointment and disgust in the faces surrounding him. This is unacceptable, Harry sputtered, his voice breaking slightly. Wait until people hear about this. Wait until they learn how I was treated. Janet Street Porter couldn't resist a parting shot. Oh, they'll hear about it, Harry. They'll hear exactly how you behaved. Harry's final words as security escorted him toward the exit were barely coherent, a mixture of threats, accusations, and self-pity that only served to cement his complete humiliation. Ruth turned to face the camera, her composure intact despite the chaos that had just unfolded. We'll be right back after this break, and we'll be discussing how to handle difficult conversations with dignity and respect. The studio erupted in applause from the crew as the camera stopped rolling, their admiration for Ruth's handling of the situation evident. She had faced down royal rage with grace, proving once again why she was Britain's most trusted daytime presenter.